It is one of the defining arguments in the Republican debates. What will the next president, whether one of these Republican candidates or a re-elected President Obama, do about Iran? Ben has the reality check.
During last Thursday's Republican debate, a back and forth between Congressman Ron Paul and Congressman Michele Bachmann, it set the stage for the two sides of this argument. First, let's take a look at what Congressman Bachmann said.
Without a shadow of a doubt that Iran will take a nuclear weapon. They will use it to wipe our ally Israel off the face of the map, and they've stated they will use it against the United States of America.
Let's begin with what Iran has stated about a nuclear weapon. In October of 2005, when Mahmoud Ahmadinejad first became Iran's president, he did call for Israel to be wiped off the map. But those statements were not connected to a nuclear weapon. Iran's president has repeatedly said that his country is not looking to build a nuclear weapon. He has never been quoted as saying that he would attack the United States, though. Doesn't mean that he wouldn't, but it's untrue to say that he has said that he would.
And we have an IAEA report that just recently came out that said literally Iran is within just months of being able to obtain that weapon.
But that is not quite accurate. According to the IAEA report released on November 8th of this year, the agency said they have serious concerns regarding possible military dimensions to Iran's nuclear program. Information indicates that Iran has carried out activities relevant to the development of a nuclear explosive device. But the report did not give any specific timeline for the development of a nuclear explosive device. It was in an article in the LA Times where unnamed sources said that nuclear inspectors have concluded that Iran has acquired the technical means to design a nuclear weapon and would require about 6 months to enrich uranium to the quality needed for a bomb if it decided to do so. So that covers Bachmann's statements. But what about Representative Paul's statement that seems to downplay Iran's nuclear weapon intentions?
There's no UN evidence of that happening. Klepper at the in our National Security Department, he says there is no evidence. It's no different than it was in 2003.
And that statement is technically true. You heard Congressman Paul refer to Clapper. He's talking about the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. It's true that Clapper said while testifying before the U.S. Senate in March of this year that there isn't definite proof that Iran would build a weapon. But he also said that Iran was keeping the option open. Take a look. We continue to assess Iran is keeping open the option to develop nuclear weapons, in part by developing various nuclear capabilities that better position it to produce such weapons, should it choose to do so. We do not know, however, if Iran will eventually decide to build nuclear weapons. So while Iran may not be building a nuclear weapon, the country may be positioning itself to do so. Maybe.
The problem would be the greatest underreaction in world history.
And you're trying to dramatize this, that we have to go and treat Iran like we've treated Iraq and kill 1 million Iraqis and 8,000 some Americans have died since we've gone to war. You cannot solve these problems with war.
So here's what you need to know. The maybe is exactly the problem. Since the United States began its war with Iraq, nearly $1 trillion in treasure has been spent. 4,500 U.S. troops have been killed, 32,000 more wounded, and over 650,000 Iraqis killed. Remember, because what we knew was that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and they were pursuing a nuclear weapon. In October of 2002, remember this? There is unmistakable evidence that Saddam Hussein is working aggressively to develop nuclear weapons and will likely have nuclear weapons within the next 5 years. So said Democrat Senator Jay Rockefeller and dozens of other politicians and world leaders. They were wrong about Iraq. And can we afford to be wrong about Iran? Can we afford to wait and see? That's what voters have to decide. And that is Reality Check.
My friends, you don't have to... You don't need to do nation building in Israel. We're already built. You don't need to export democracy to Israel. We've already got it. And you don't need to send American troops to Israel. We defend ourselves.